All right. All right. I see that we are now live. Welcome, everyone, to episode 19, 19. So, welcome, everyone, to the Risk Reward Show presented by Risk Reward Media. My name is Chris Mercado, and I am joined by
Mr. Reward, aka Derrick. I'll go by Reward first now.
Yes, and we are also joined by a special guest as we start season 2, where we start introducing guests within our network. Today we have Mr. Omar Peele with us.
What's going on, y'all? What's going on? Omar, call me JP, whatever you like, Mr. Cranberry.
Mr. Cranberry, all right.
So,
All right, so we got Mr. Risk, Mr. Reward, and Mr. Cranberry.
Mr. Cranberry.
There you go.
All right, this sounds good. So for everyone here, you know the deal. We at the Risk Reward Show, we're here to help you find the upside in your professional, your business, and financial lives. For today's main topic, we're gonna revisit sort of this concept of being your authentic self at work through Omar's experiences, and we'll talk about his work with Creators Asylum as well, and this dynamic between individuality versus conformity. So be sure to, as usual, follow, like, comment, and share this episode on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and now Spotify. Like we do every week, we will start with our weekly rewind, and we're going to start with a new shop by Netflix. Mr. Reward, please tell us what's going on with Netflix.
Netflix is about to become the new Disney. That's exactly what's going to happen. Netflix has just launched their new merch shop to where now you can purchase, shirts, pants, probably, like anything. But I think this is a smart move on their end because I feel like everybody has either their own plan for Netflix, or they're using, a family members and or friends. So eventually their, subscription level is definitely going to start to kind of the plateau. So with that being said, they're definitely thinking of other ways that they can make more, cash. And this merch store was, the best thing that I've heard so far. So basically, what I was doing some research earlier, and they have a licensing deal with like H&M. So if you were to go to their store, you'll probably see like a Stranger Things like T-shirt and stuff like that. So they are officially stopping that, therefore putting all of their merch on their own store. I think that's a good move on their end, because if you can cut out the middleman, then you're just like winning. But the reason why I say they're going to be the next Disney is because now I'm starting to think of like other ways that they can kind of make people buy like their merch. So let's say, for instance, I don't know if Amazon does this, but I know I did see some type of smart TV that does this already. So if you're watching a show and let's say, for instance, someone's wearing like a Transformer shirt and you want that exact shirt, you can pause it and a list would pop up on the side where you're able to buy whatever is on that screen. So eventually I think Netflix is going to do something like that. And I'm even thinking that Netflix is going to have their own theme park. Like, who wouldn't want to go on like a Stranger Things ride, right, or like a Witcher type of walkthrough or something like that? I think that's dope.
Yeah, I think that theme park idea would be dope because they have a lot of content to work with there, right? A lot of originals, so that'd be dope.
Yeah, it sounds like they're doing like Disney in reverse. Because Disney's now recently launched the streaming, but Netflix, at least what we know of Netflix now, past the mailing DVDs, they started the streaming. So now they're going in reverse of what Disney did with the theme parks, and perhaps this merchandising angle. And I think of Star Wars and how much money Disney makes off of
Marvel too.
Star Wars. Yeah. So no, that's I didn't even know about it. So that's a good look that you brought that to our attention. Another thing that had our attention, especially last night, is the NBA being called soft by some of its own players. So I saw Trae Young, John Morant react on Twitter how the league is soft based on that ejection of the MVP Nikolai Jokic. last night. So what are your thoughts on the NBA and like being quote soft?
You don't take out a star player third quarter on a game on like what is game 4, so it's either win or go home. Like you have to at least give them like some type of chance. Throughout the entire game, everybody was smacking each other. everybody was giving tough fouls. Like whenever anybody went to the rim, someone was definitely hit. So for Joker, I don't think he really meant to hit Payne the way that he did. It looked like he slapped fire out of him, but he was literally going after the ball. He was frustrated because he just didn't get the foul that he was supposed to get. So he just went, for the ball, and so happenly Payne's nose was there
in the way.
But I think the NBA has a problem when it comes to flopping because yes, I mean, he did get hit hard, but for him to act the way he did, like, come on, son. Yeah. So hopefully, they look back at this and just know that the refs literally gave the game to the Suns, I think.
Yeah, hey, well, I think rightfully so. The league is really focused on player safety and things like that, which is great. But this is still a contact sport, and over the past few years, I'd say it's really gotten away from that. It's a contact sport. You're gonna be touching people. Things are gonna happen. Like you said, if you're going for the ball, you can't sit there and go for the ball and make sure that you're not touching anybody in the process on the way up and on the way down. It's basketball. So I definitely don't disagree with the players saying that the NBA is getting soft. It is. I think we see it all the time. And the way that, and it kills me when you see someone flop for like 5 minutes on the floor and then you pop back up and it's all good again. It's like you weren't hurt. Like, let's get the game going. Get physical again.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna disagree slightly with Omar here. I actually don't think the NBA is looking out for player safety, because if they did, they would have like taken more time to start this current season, because so many of the players are injured. So and they did it to kind of like get back to a normal schedule, post pandemic as quickly as possible. So I don't think the NBA is worried about player safety. As Mr. Risk here, I think the NBA is worried about the risk of another Malice at the Palace. They don't want a player rushing into the stands, right? And causing like a bigger melee, because the NBA took such a hit from that. So I think that's what they're concerned about, not player safety.
Yeah, Malice in the Palace was a great time in history. That
was
a great moment in history.
Yeah, and Derrick and I talked about this on another episode. These fans just dehumanizing the players, sure. and I was like, yo, some of these like good fans need to punch these bad fans in the face, sure. when they're like throwing popcorn or like trying to spit on players. Yeah. So yeah, the fans need to check themselves as well. And this idea of soft, I'm gonna add a little note on the Joker. So we got to be careful about who we label soft, right? In terms of players as well. So Joker comes across as like fun and like sort of lucky go happy. But there's a story on Sports Illustrated that he did, and he has 2 older brothers, and they once tasked him to climb up a tree, and the Joker refused. So as punishment, what his brothers did is, one brother held his arms down, and then the other brother threw knives at him as discipline. So like soft, especially with like some of these foreign players like that come from like different cultures, like we don't know how they're raised. Like we need to be careful about that label of soft, because Jokic may come across as like nice and cuddly, but apparently he's not.
there was and just to add on quickly, there was a funny meme going around because his brothers are all tatted up and they have shades and stuff like that. So they're saying how like they were in the street, so they just told him to just like play ball.
Yeah, they're like his protectors. So that's another point. And speaking of protectors, so the last weekly rewind, so we saw a near tragedy on a soccer pitch. Christian Eriksen. So since my name is Cris, I support all talented people named Cris and any derivatives. But Christian Eriksen is a star both for the Denmark national team, but also Inter Milan. And he had a heart attack on the field and had to do CPR on the spot. And you saw his teammates sort of circle around him to block view. and there's a couple of ideas being thrown around on social media. So one, like, what's the TV broadcasting responsibility? Are they supposed to cut away, or is this like part of the coverage that they should, see what's going to transpire?
Recording in progress.
Also, the teams decided to play later, and apparently, Christian, when he was in the hospital, he FaceTimed his team and he told his team, like, go out there, go play. And that's what helped them decide. So, like, who decides like when they should start? So I was wondering for Omar and Derrick, like, what are your thoughts on the broadcasting responsibilities and also like letting the game continue?
Yeah, the broadcasting one's a tough one because I think it is still there. They can still broadcast up to a certain point. I think there's just like, at what point do you finally cut off? So when players get injured, of course, the fans are going to see that. People should be able to see that. That's not a problem. But at the point where they're giving him CPR and there's a lot of, it got past a certain point. At that point, they should probably cut away and show something else and, give that type of privacy. But I think it's really a toss-up, as to say, when that fine line is. But as for, it's funny you mentioned that, because as for the part of them, the teams actually playing, my first thought was that they shouldn't have been playing after that. They really should have, paid respect to what happened and took some time. I didn't realize that he called them and told them to go out there. So if that happens, I think, go for it. That's not a problem at all. You got the word from your teammate. He said, play in my honor, go play. That's cool.
Cool.
Yeah. Same thing. Like when what's his name? Sean Livingston, when he broke his leg, like when that happened, they went to break right away. Because it was like we can't show that. So I think as the broadcasters, they should have definitely went to a break or something, because you don't want everybody to actually see that. And plus, that's like a very a touchy moment, because you don't know if that person could either die right there or not. But the fact that he called them and said, like, keep on playing, like, I feel like did they end up winning that game or no?
No, they lost by 1.
Ah, damn.
One nil.
That is not the movie ending that we're looking for.
Yeah.
We'll make a movie about that later on now. Man. Okay.
Yeah, but I mean, for him to call them like, guys, like, the show must go on still, I think that speaks to his character, in terms of like, yes, this has happened, but still, like, we have a game to win, but they didn't. So
cool. No, these are awesome takes, and I'm sure we'll continue on social media with our views on this. And I think this also gave our audience a preview of Omar, and now we're gonna get to kind of like the main segment, and we're gonna feature Omar here. I'm gonna have Derrick sort of take the lead into like really getting to know Omar and all these gems that he's gonna share with all of us. So Derrick, take it away.
Here we go. So
Here we go.
I'll give some background before we start to ask him questions. Omar, me and him go way back since what? 06 high school? Since high school?
Yeah.
The football team, he's been, my road dog, like, ever since, through college, through life. We traveled together. And we've been places we'll be traveling soon.
Yep.
But I really consider Omar like my blood brother. Like there's like a good group of us where I can always count on, like, these like 5 people, 6 people, 5, 6 people. But before I kind of get all cry and stuff like that, I want Omar to really kind of I just really wanted to kind of bring you onto the show, because I really like how you not only present yourself, but the ideas that like you have. I feel like you are a thought leader. Even though you may not think that you are, but it's times when like you're talking, I'm like, damn, like, Omar's spitting gems. So hopefully with this here, you would be able to kind of really shed some light on what you've done and how you've handled being you at work. I feel like you will always be you, like, no matter where you go. But for others, I know being your authentic self is something that is still kind of new to what people are doing, because they're not so sure if this is something that they should be doing. But hearing your experiences, I think, would help a lot. So to get started, wanted you to kind of tell the people more about you, about your role and your industry.
Yeah, and I appreciate that introduction, man. I was about to shed a tear myself, but I held in. Man. But yeah, no. So my name's Omar again. So I actually work in the aerospace engineering industry. So I've been doing engineering since I graduated back in 2012, 2013. Aging myself right now, but yeah, I work in aerospace. So we deal with everything that goes on. You know, helicopters, airplanes, rockets, spaceships, anything that flies. That's the industry that I serve. So myself, I'm a business manager now over for an aerospace company out here in Long Island, New York. I started off as an engineer doing some of the aftermarket design work and then moved my way over to the business side. And obviously, you know, the point of this whole conversation is about conformity versus individualism. And that's a big thing that comes up a lot, especially when you're in a field where, let's say demographically, you're by no means the majority. You're in the deep minority demographically. So you come into the workplace with a lot of differences compared to everyone around you. And the question is, do you conform or do you continue to be your full self? And how does that affect your career? How does that affect your coworkers, your peers, your employers' outlook of you? And do you care? I think the biggest thing is, are you willing to accept the potential setbacks of being yourself for the positive moral outcome that can come from it? And what other positive things can come from a career aspect from not conforming and from being an individual? So that's a quick thing about myself, quick introduction. Yeah.
All right, cool. So let's jump right into it. Why is it important to be your authentic self at work?
One of the main things for me is that let me start by saying this. You do want to demonstrate a level of adaptability and being able to assimilate into an environment so that you can adapt, which to some extent means you're not always yourself 100% of the time. But you don't want to fall into a trap of where you're constantly switching back and forth between two different lives. You know, you do want to sort of have your work, because you spend more time at work than you do, most people. You spend more time at work than you do in the real world. You can sort of start to lose yourself if you're always trying to be something you're not in the workplace, you know, 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, if you have standing 9 to 5, you know, we're not talking about, the off type of jobs. So it is very important to be your authentic self, especially when it comes to your career aspirations. If you want to be a leader in your company, people don't look to the person conforming and doing everything that they're told to do as a leader or as like a future leader, or as someone that they want to follow, right? And I mean, the biggest thing for me is that we know change is constant. Things are always going to change, and you don't want to be left on the tail end of change, where you're just waiting for other people to make new ideas and generate new thoughts and guide the company and guide the department in different ways, and you're just constantly following along. So the important thing about that's about being an individual. The important thing about being your authentic self is a lot of times people forget that you got into this position for a reason. So there are certain aspects of you, especially if you're a minority, that everyone else may have never thought of or other people aren't exposed to. So when you come in as your authentic self, people assume, I think one of the assumptions is that, oh, if I'm myself and I'm different from everybody else, you know, they'll never appreciate my opinion, or they'll never listen to me, or they'll never view me as their equal. Well, maybe you'll provide something that they never thought of before, or something, an experience that they've never had. And that can actually help ascend you in a different way that you could have never thought of. So why not try that? Because at the same time, while you may be afraid to be your authentic self and you're trying so hard to conform to be like everyone else around you, you weren't raised that way. So it's not natural to you to be that way. So that comes off more, I think, than anything else. You coming in your authentic self, that's how you naturally are. You're comfortable. You're laid back. That's just you, who you are. When you come in trying to speak a certain way and trying to, you know, maneuver the way everyone else is, I think that can come across ingenuine also, and that can also work against you in different aspects. But like I said earlier on, it is important, I think, to have a balance of both. Not a 50-50 balance. I think you should be more of your authentic self, but you do still need to, you know, obviously you have to put on a certain face and game plan when you get into the work environment, when you're dealing with other people from different cultures and different backgrounds. That's so important. So
yeah, you definitely got to code switch from time to time. And code switching, honestly, could be annoying, and it really takes like a lot of like toll just like on you. But I really do agree. Something that you said that like hit hard was if you're like, you know, just like going, just being what is there, and like it doesn't come off as if you're like some type of leader. I think that's cool in terms of like being able to kind of produce your own thoughts and ideas, because, you know, that groupthink is what kills a bunch of stuff. So right. Being able to be like, hey, like maybe we should be doing this, that, you know, we shouldn't be doing that, or I see that this is coming up, or like this is a trend. So I'm happy that you know, we're able to share that.
Can I add something real quick?
Mm-hmm.
So in the previous episode, I made the case that code switching is actually or can be powerful and positive in a way where we're actually adding like and showing different facets of ourselves. Would you agree with that, Omar, or disagree?
I think I don't fully disagree with you, but I think there's a fine line between, right? When you walk into an environment and you're fully code switching, you're fully trying to speak like everyone else around you, you're not really showing anything about yourself. Now, it does show that you can, speak like other people, and I'm using speaking as like the example, but there's other methods of code switching, right? But when you're trying to speak like other people, that does show a level of adaptability. But at the same time, people need to know who you are genuinely, because it does, like I said, that's not natural. That's not how you naturally speak. So I think that's a real example, because I've gone through that. Earlier in my career, I did go into the office, when I was younger, and try to, assimilate very quickly and do what everybody else was doing. And it came across very ingenuine, and it got pointed out to me. Like, that's obviously not how you speak, right? And it wasn't. There was no defense for it. So sure, if you're really good at code switching and you feel like you can do it seamlessly, that's great. But why? What's actually the purpose of it? But to your point, I do think there is a time and place for it, but that shouldn't be the norm or like the majority of what you spend your time doing. Also.
Good points.
Cool. So I mean, how has being Omar impacted your career?
I'd say it was a direct line to getting me where I am now as a business manager. When I started off as an engineer, one of the things, especially with aerospace or engineering in general, is that it's not really something that has a lot of change very quickly. It's a very slow moving industry, particularly aerospace. Let me not say all forms of engineering, but aerospace is a very slow moving industry. It takes years, close to decades, to get a new airplane built or designed, because there's a lot of risk in it. So when myself, I'm a risk taker. I'm someone who likes taking on challenges. I don't just like coming in saying, oh, that's the easy thing to do, let me do that because everyone else is doing it. I like taking that risk, high reward. Obviously, with the high risk, you can also fail even harder. You can fail even harder with the high risk, but high risk, high reward. And I think that mentality got me to take certain challenges that other people may not have been willing to take, and to take certain risks that other people weren't willing to take, and sort of help to propel my career as a business leader on that side.
Yeah, I always love it when guests mention risk reward, because it's the show title without us.
you know what's funny?
So that's why I'm fist pumped.
That wasn't even intentional. That wasn't even intentional. That's funny.
There you go.
I did want to follow up real quick. So this is like really interesting to me. How did you make this transition from the engineering technical side to the business side? Like, what were the obstacles? How did you like make it seamless for you?
Listen, I'll say it wasn't easy by a long shot, because I didn't go to school for business at all. So for me, one thing that I've always told myself, and I tell my little brother and little sister this all the time, it's a mentality of, if someone else can do it, why can't I, right? So even if you went to school specifically for business, if I get put in a position, why can't I learn those things? So when I was doing my engineering, I started, once you're actually working, when you're in college, you think you know what exactly you want to do with your career. But then once you start doing it, you start to see other aspects of the company, other different departments, and you see, different things in front of you. So I still loved engineering. I had no issue with it, but my big thing was that I saw there was a higher ladder to climb. Because my end goal aspiration is, how high can I go? Can I be the CEO of a company one day? Oh, from the engineering side, that's a much slower process. And the farther you go into engineering, the harder it is to make a transition to business as you get later in your career. So when I was in my entry-level position the first 3 years, I was doing engineering, and I was looking at program managers and how they were like that middle ground between, having to have that engineering manufacturing knowledge, and then also still managing some budgets and different business. So I found a company that gave me a position as a program manager. That was my transitional period. And within the year, I guess, going in there being Omar myself, I was offered a position as a business manager. And I will say, those first 6 months to a year, I'll even say it might have been the first year, it was like drinking from a fire hose. It was just so much sensory overload, things I've never seen before. We're talking about balance sheets, managing this budget. This is my first time managing people. I never managed people before. I'm managing the engineers, who I used to be, the supply chain people, all the different departments, the contracts administrators. And it's like, wow, what do I do? I never took a class for this. But again, your adaptability is a big thing there. If you take the risk, I took the risk, and then I was adaptable. I was open to the concept of if somebody before me could do this successfully, why can't I? What do I have to research on YouTube tonight to be able to learn how to, like you figure it out, and I did. So
That was no, that's dope. That is like we're definitely gonna clip that up and share it with the audience because that's really what we're trying to do here. Like these nuggets, these insights, for like sometimes the tough choices that people make in their careers, their professional lives, and you definitely found the upside. So thank you for sharing that.
No doubt, for sure.
Cool. Damn, Omar, I feel like you're like I feel like with every question you're just dropping gems, man.
Speaking my truth, bro. Speaking my truth. We always have conversations. Yeah. This is just right.
Yeah. Yeah. So to kind of put it on the flip side now, how has conforming impacted your career?
Yeah, conformity. Similar to what I said before, I think there was a certain level of that's important. So being able to come in and be an individual and being able to generate new ideas and show that you're all gung-ho and ready to change things is a great thing. But at the same time, you don't want to rub people the wrong way, right? You don't want to come in and be that person on day one, now making sweeping changes across the board. You still want to be, you still want people to feel like you're a part of the team. So being able to conform in certain aspects I think it's helped to balance the other side of my individualism, so that it, became like this good concoction of, all right, this person is someone that we feel is part of the team, and is someone that can generate new ideas that can drive us forward. So, that's been a positive. I'll say that's the positive side. There have been some negative aspects of performing. Like I said, I've been held back sometimes. Like when I first started as a business manager, that was my first time having to give briefs, like presentations to executive management, to executive vice presidents, CEOs, and things like that. I've never had to stand in front of a room full of people and present to people like that before, at that high of a level. So at first, I was up there trying to say the big words that they say, and the little keywords I hear them say all the time. I was trying to repeat them, but it wasn't flowing out smoothly because it's not words that I grew up saying, right? Now that doesn't mean, that's not to say that you're not supposed to take it in, learn those words, and make it part of your vocabulary. But just at first, when I was trying to force it, it didn't come out genuinely. Now it is part of my vocabulary. I've been doing it so long, so now I say it seamlessly. Back then it wasn't. So I think, maybe trying to conform too quick might have held me back a little bit at that point. But all in all, it worked out. Like I said, there's a balance to it, and you just have to make sure you find that sweet spot.
How was it when they pointed it out to you, like, that's not you? Like, why are you acting like this for? How did you receive that? Yeah. And what were you doing for them to be like, ooh, like that's not how you act?
Yeah, I mean, obviously everyone's going to take that critique differently, right? So luckily, I accept feedback. Whenever I have my performance reviews or different one-on-ones with my VP and my president, I'm always asking, where can I improve? What areas can I improve in? So when they said it, I didn't get defensive about it. It was really what I just said. I was presenting, and you could tell I was looking for the right words to say, and I was throwing in words that the words fit, but it just looked like it just wasn't a seamless statement. It was like something and this, and it just seemed
dynamic.
Yeah, right. Just saying words, and I think it also helped the way they brought it up. They didn't bring it up as a hard critique. They brought it up as a constructive room for improvement. They said, hey, look, when you present up there, you can come across nervous sometimes because of the way you're trying to find those words. Maybe if you just speak the way you want to speak, just say whatever is really on your mind. And if you take time away from thinking about what words to use, you'll have more time or capacity to focus on the bigger picture and what the story you're actually trying to tell. So that was actually really good feedback. So at that point, I just started talking like Omar, and it worked out.
That's cool. Yeah. I think first and foremost, for you to be able to kind of take that feedback and be like, you know what, thank you for that. Because I feel like a lot of times people may take that the wrong way. But for you to kind of be so self-aware of you and just know that, like, hey, like, I know that it wasn't me. So maybe I should just thank you for that. I appreciate that. Yeah. So it's good that you were able to kind of, see that, and obviously it has worked for you.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to be open to critiques, man. I mean, we should really seek them. Now, with that being said, you can't take and change yourself with every critique that everyone gives you. but we should at least be open to, you know, asking for them, hearing them, not being defensive about it. And then you yourself as an adult, you're mature. You can pick and choose where you think you really can improve. If you don't agree, you don't have to do it. But we shouldn't, because the more you come across defensive, the less likely people are going to point things out to you. And then there are a lot of things you're not going to see, right? So.
Cool. I know you mentioned before that the area that you're in, it doesn't have a lot of people of color. So me personally, just to kind of set up this question, I enjoyed when I'm like the only one. Like for some strange reason, like I really like it because I know that everybody's looking at me like, oh, like we have a Black person here, like holy, you know, like we got to be on our P's and Q's. And I mean, I'm just sitting there, like, I can say whatever I want and probably get away with it. Right. But for you, knowing in your field, like how does that work for you? Do you feel it as like that's a moment where you feel, you know, in power, or do you feel like that's something? I mean, of course, it's definitely a feeling where you want to see more of you within this field. But how does it make you feel that you're, you know, one of the only few?
Yeah, you know what? My feelings on that have changed as I've advanced in my career. When I first started, it was a very awkward feeling. Because actually with my first job as an engineer, not only was I the only Black person, I was also the only person under 50 years old. So my first group, every single dude in there was an older white man above 50 years old. They were like in their 50s. And then in the aerospace industry, random note, there was a big hiring freeze for a lot of years. So there's typically a big age gap. So older white man in the 50s, and then young Black kid, 23. All right. So it was just a weird dynamic. So I think at that point, I didn't really know how to navigate that scene. I was, you know, do I try to assimilate to them? Do I come in there and be my full self? I wasn't sure at the time. Now, as I've advanced in my career and I'm more focused on my individualism, it's a sense of empowerment. I'm like, hey, listen, you know, I'll be that guy. I'll walk into a room full of them. And it's like, yeah, it's me, Omar, as you see. There's a lot of things about
know, baby.
Yeah, that's it. There's not a lot of things that I'm performing to in terms of like the typical business look. Like I have the beard. No one, and that's another thing, because even with the beard, they made a few comments at first when I started growing it, but then they all started trying to grow a beard after. So it's
you're a trendsetter, boy. You're a trendsetter.
And I remember some people saying, "Oh man, how you gonna rock that at work? Like, how's that gonna go?" Listen, it's hair that naturally grows out my face. Why do I have to cut it? You know, what's the problem? Who created that rule? That's the thing. I'll look good.
Did they break out the Cuban links too? Because I just imagine 50-year-old white men just breaking out the Cuban links. I love that.
We haven't gotten there yet. I'm working on it though.
Please do.
I'm gonna take a picture for you, bro. The moment I start breaking out the cubes,
yes,
it's a wrap.
All right.
But yeah, man. I mean, at this point, I'm very comfortable being the only one. Obviously, like you said, it'll be great to have more brought in. Obviously, as you get to higher levels, you're able to hire people that look like you because you're more of a decision maker. So I have someone who works for me, a young Black lady, so that's great. And we're definitely trying to make the company more diverse as a whole. So, yeah.
Awesome. I know I'm kind of going to go off script here, but what is something that you can tell anybody who has an interest like within this field? Because I mean, when it comes to what you're doing, like no one really knows of it. Yeah. So and you've been in it for, you know, some time now. So what are some advice that you can give somebody who's trying to break into a career within you know, aerospace?
One expect that it's going to be tough. It's not an easy field to be in, but it's so rewarding. I mean, depending on the type of person you are, the reason, you know, there's a lot of different fields of engineering. The reason why I chose aerospace is because one, again, being a risk taker, it seemed like the hardest one to do. So I wanted that challenge. But then two, it's just cool as hell. Like every time you walk outside, you see an airplane. I'm like, hey, yo, I know the model of that airplane just by looking at it. Two, I know the parts that my company makes, where they go on the airplane. I see these rockets go up. I know what parts we ship to go to these rockets. I see jets flying in movies, helicopters picking people up in Terminator. Like, yeah, I know a helicopter. Oh, I actually sell parts of the helicopter. It's just cool. And maybe that's not cool to everybody. I can admit that. That's just, I could just be, you know, weird. But the advice I just give is like, listen, you know, actually something I said before, why not me? If that's something that you're interested in, why can't you do it? We all have brains. We're all intelligent, right? One thing I've always told people when they look at what I'm doing now and it looks really complicated to them, or like when you see people in school and you see those long equations on the board, and it's like, man, I have no idea what that is. I have no idea how you're doing that. you have to understand, you have to start from step one. Now, what you're looking at is sort of a final product, but that took, a lot of work to get there. So just like everyone can relate, in order to do division, you have to learn subtraction first. To do multiplication, you have to learn addition. So if you show a 5-year-old a division, they're gonna have no idea what they're looking at. But if you teach them subtraction, they can learn division. So thinking about aerospace, thinking it may be hard to do. It is hard, but if you start from step one and really just stay diligent on what you're trying to learn, it's amazing. And like I said, I just think it's cool.
Yeah, one of the best pieces of advice you gave me was I was like, where do I sit if a plane ever goes down? In on the back or right in the middle? Never the front.
Isn't it by the wings?
Right in the middle, like right over the wings. The wings are the strongest part of the plane. So
Yeah.
I mean, granted, you're probably still not going to survive, but you got that much more of a chance.
So you're saying I have a chance?
I'm
All right.
saying you
There
have
you
a chance, man.
That's what's up. That's what's up. So in the years, I mean, yes, you are, you're killing it within your job now, but also you have other, things that you are doing too. We've had our talks about, different types of things, but Creators Asylum is something that you and a couple of your people that I know too, you've created about probably like a year ago.
Yeah, we started it a little over a year ago.
Yeah, it was during COVID. Yeah, because I know you was like I just got to do something.
Like a lot of people had good ideas around that time, right? Just why not? Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that you created was do-rag discussions.
Do-rag.
So you mind telling us more about do-rag discussions? Okay, wait, is that a silky or Velveeta?
Velveeta. Velveeta.
Velveeta. Okay.
On my shoulder for this conversation, but
yeah. That's Brandon right there.
Right. So what was your question?
Like what made you start it, as well as can you kind of give us more info on like the purpose of it?
Yeah, for sure. So I mean, starting with do-rag discussions, my boy Dane, shout out to Dane. He approached us, some of our crew with an idea about, just hopping on live one day and just having a bro talk. You see a lot of times people have different blogs. You see like one guy talking his opinion. Or, a lot of powerful women have like their women talks where they just talk about different things going on, things that affect them on a day-to-day. And he brought up a good idea, like, hey, why don't we get on there and talk about what affects guys? The conversations that we have all the time, like me and you we have these conversations all the time. Why don't we put it out there? Let them hear how we converse. People are always interested in what guys talk about, what the group chat looks like. So let's see what's going on with that. So we did it the one time. It went well. We had some positive feedback. So then we really just took it and said, we should really do something with this. And how can we really give our voices a platform and, allow other people to chime in on the conversation in different ways. So that's really how do-rag discussion started. And I mean, we're all young Black men, we all wear do-rags. So it just stuck. I think we all happened to be wearing do-rags on the first episode. So it was just, let's keep it going. So if you ever see my do-rag collection, it's very extensive. In the past year, it's gotten very extensive. But
yeah,
that's
a fact.
Yeah, but that's how do-rag discussion started. But then one thing we noticed is that the women were definitely showing a lot of love and support to the conversations we had, because obviously they had a lot of interest in what we had to say. And they would be in the comments a lot, providing their opinions on things. So then we came up with the idea to have another show called The Crown Collective, where we bring the ladies up to the stage and then we discuss, we build that bridge between men and women in discussion and, discuss our perspectives and see how we, sort of bridge that gap that seems to be there in many different topics that affect us. That was important for us. And then the final thing is Creators Asylum. So then after those two shows started off, me and Dane, we've been doing poetry. We've been creative since Hofstra, since we met. And both of us individually before then, but we met in college. And we've performed together like our senior year in college, things like that. So we've always been creators. When the do-rag discussions and Crown Collective came about, we really started thinking about what kind of umbrella organization we can form that can encompass those and so much more. What can be like a safe space for creators to, as we say, seize the space and lead the narrative. So you seize your own space and you lead your own narrative. Like this is your creation. So what platform can we provide for people to do that, including ourselves? So that's how Creators Asylum was born. And as you see, you follow the page. We do Black business shout outs weekly. We have our do-rag discussions, Crown Collective. On Fridays we do Creators Corner, where different creatives get to showcase their talents. and then Mondays we do motivational Mondays. So it's branching out from there, and it's been fulfilling the past year for sure.
Awesome, that's cool. I mean, I feel like Chris and I are kind of on like that same path too. Like this is just the first thing that we're doing, but I feel like every time we talk, we're thinking about other things that we can definitely do next. So I'm happy to see that this model has worked for you, and just kind of seeing how you grew it. We're definitely going to take some of your, some of the steps that you've taken to.
For sure. If you don't mind me asking, what got you and Chris to start this up? What was like your inspiration? Honest.
A Sunday night. Was it Chris?
Yeah, it was a phone call where we pretty much came out with our aspirations to move into content. Okay. And I believe as we were talking, I was just like, well, why don't we just start a show?
Yeah.
And the next Monday we started it on IG. We tried it a couple times on IG, and then as we tested that out, we're like, let's do it here. But it fit our like longer term goals that we really didn't know. So it really started with that willingness to share in a conversation. Like, what are your longer term aspirations? And I think, we don't make that public enough, and that'll be like inspirational or beneficial to others who might be listening to us.
Sure. Nah, that's well dope, man. That's well dope. And I'm really glad to see, y'all doing y'all thing with that. And really, giving these different, like even this topic right here is very important for people to be listening to. So
yeah,
well dope, man. Proud of you.
Appreciate you. All right. I'm gonna let Chris ask these 2 questions for you. These are 2 questions that I didn't share, but
Yeah. So before we get to the embarrassing stories of Derrick, I had a quick follow up. So you said you mentioned you played football, or Derrick mentioned you played football, right?
Yeah.
And I, clearly you've like in your words, in your journey, you've demonstrated leadership. So in my mind, I'm guessing that you either played safety, middle linebacker, or quarterback. Am I right?
I wish I was a quarterback. I wasn't the quarterback. All linebacker. I defensive back, so safety back.
All right, because I feel like sort of like the safety is like the quarterback of the defense. So that's why if I had to guess, it was that like someone who kind of sees like the whole field, can communicate to teammates. That's what came across. So that's why I had to ask that.
That's it. Safety wide receiver. Yeah.
Cool.
High school football and flag football.
All right.
Yeah. There we go.
Cool. So one way of sort of like getting to know each other, I think for me, the most fun ways is through really insightful, lesser known, and sometimes embarrassing stories. So, do you have any embarrassing stories of Derrick and maybe yourself that you can share with our audience? No need to clean it up at all. You can come with it like super authentically. But if you had any lesser known, hopefully embarrassing stories of Derrick, that would be great.
Man, that put me on the spot with that one. We know each other so long, B. I don't know where to start.
Yeah.
It could be high school or like college age stories, but something that won't get him into trouble with his lady. But we'll still contribute to lots of laughs and getting to know Derrick on a more personal level.
I don't want to spend too much time thinking about it, so I'll just think of the first thing that comes to mind. And Derrick, forgive me for this one, but what comes to mind was actually the way I met Derrick, which was I remember. So I was on a football team before Derrick was. So I think it was sophomore year when you joined, right?
Oh damn! Yeah, okay.
You know where I'm going with this, though.
That's the reaction I wanted. Yeah. That's the reaction I wanted.
Now, when I say I got you, D. It was so it was like sophomore year. So I think it was my second season, and I feel like you popped up midway through the season. I think the season already started, but
that was nice.
Nah, you were. And it was a tragic ending. But I know, so the whole point of the story, someone, I guess, recruited Derrick. So he came on, he was there at practice one day. So I was in the stands. So I saw this new kid. And, he's catching everything one-handed. I don't know, just like out there looking like Terrell Owens, Ocho Cinco, Randy Moss, everybody all fused together. I'm like, yo, this dude's nice. I got to step my game up. He about to take my spot. So then I think the coaches love Derrick so much they put him as like the starter for everything. Because Derrick's really good. He's like really athletic kid. So when we get to our first game, and and they put Derrick out for the first play. Derrick goes back. You know, I think it was punt return, right?
Yep.
It was punt return. Derrick's about
fake.
Yeah, he's like, all right, I'm about to get my first touchdown. Derrick's career ended the second it started. The second it started. I mean, Derrick caught that ball, got hit so hard, and never got up. It was like your leg, right? Your ankle?
60 yards though. That's all that matters.
Yeah, I mean, it was great. Forgive me for missing that. It had the potential to be a great play had it not ended the way it did. I think he broke his ankle or something like that.
Oh, right. For one play.
Wait, hold on. You returned it 60 yards and broke your ankle?
So it was a punt. It was a punt fake. So we faked the punt, and as I was going, where I messed up was that I looked back, and the second I looked back, whomever it was came and swiped me, and how I fell on top of my ankle.
Damn. Yeah, that was tragic, man. That was tragic. You never seen so much potential get washed away so fast.
Ouch.
Like, damn, there he goes.
And now you're relegated to podcast co-host.
Yeah.
That's rough. That's rough.
Started a great friendship though. Started a great friendship. So
cool. Yeah, you got to follow up at some point, after the show with pictures of this football team. I definitely want to see that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, please share that out. So my last question is actually more of a game. So for our guests, we have the risk-reward game where we go through a list of scenarios. Mm-hmm. And if you think the scenario is a net risk, you just call it risk. If you think the scenario is a net reward, then call it reward. So the first scenario, wearing a do-rag in the office.
Listen, it depends on when you ask me that question. Had you asked me over a year ago, it was definitely a risk. I've been taking that risk a little more now, So
you gonna call it reward?
I'm gonna call it a reward.
There you go.
All right.
Liberating.
Okay.
It's liberating.
All right. Scenario
two. I go like two blocks away from the office. Now I'm just like, hey, if you see me,
you see me.
That's cool. That's cool. So scenario 2, trading stocks with your parents' money.
Oh wow, yeah, that's a risk. That's a risk.
All right.
Listen.
Buying the dip in Bitcoin.
Everything about Bitcoin is a risk.
All right. Changing jobs without having another one lined up.
Oh yeah, big risk.
Okay.
Hope you got a plan. I mean, unless you're about to be an entrepreneur or something. Sure.
Okay. Asking someone out on a date via DM.
Reward. It's all upside. All uphill from there. It's all uphill from there. Yeah.
I like how definitive that answer was. That's
yeah.
So along the same lines of social media engagement, following IG models.
Yeah, I mean, it can have its good moments, but I think you're just setting yourself up for failure. So I'm going to call that a risk.
All right. I feel like there's some behind the scenes stories on that. We'll get to that in another episode. So we talked about this during the episode. So code switching at work.
That's somewhere in the middle, I guess. I mean, I can't call that a reward though. I don't. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's a risk.
So net risk. Okay. Cheesecake.
What, cheesecake?
Just cheesecake.
Cheesecake reward. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Forget the calories. Forget the fat. All right. Cool. Buying a house right now.
I'd say it's a reward.
All right. Even with like prices going super high and maybe renting being a little bit cheaper, you still go with reward.
So listen, I don't. That's not my expertise, right? I thought I heard that prices were dropping. Maybe I'm wrong. Y'all can correct me. I thought prices were dropping with the pandemic. Maybe not.
Yeah, I think right now it's pretty much near its highs, and renting feels like more of a bargain. But I mean, when you call it a reward, I want to buy a house. Like Derrick owns property.
Yep.
So I definitely see the reward side of that too.
Yeah.
Last scenario. I don't know if you've ever sent this type of email or this line in the email, but as per my last email.
Listen, that is a complete reward. That is so satisfying. You should have read the first email. So as per my last email, for see attached, as per the attached. That's what, Yeah,
yes.
There you go.
There you go. And that concludes the Risk Reward game. So thank you for playing. I'm glad that you were able to share your insights.
Sure,
Derrick, you got any follow-ups on that?
Nah. I mean, I feel like I knew his answers already. Honestly, truthfully.
Like this, man. We like this.
Cool. So this pretty much brings us to the last segment, which is kind of like the right move right now. This is where we sort of make a stance on like what's going to come up, let's say during this week or maybe a little bit further beyond. For me, since I do like investing and actively manage my money and a little bit of my parents' money, I'm going to say that that the right move for folks right now should be to diversify their investments. It could be within just stocks, or also, if you're only in stocks, maybe consider a little bit of crypto. We might be set up for some turbulent times in various markets, and that's where diversification is key. So I know that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to diversify a little bit more, maybe take a little risk off, but that's my right move for right now. Derrick, what's yours?
I feel like Omar had me when he let us know that it's a reward to say as per my last email. So with that, I would definitely say don't be afraid to say that. You have every right to say that. You know why you said that. So because I feel like we should make that normal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or I mean, just normalize reading the email up front and not.
Yes. So we don't have to say that in an email.
Right.
Omar, again, thanks for your gems and your insights. What is sort of your right move right now for not only yourself, but maybe for others as well?
I would just say whatever that idea is that you have, move forward with it. Whatever that idea is, whether you're creative, you want to be an entrepreneur, you have any type of idea, just move forward, see what happens. Last thing you want to do is get to the end of the road and wish you did something different. So move on.
Awesome. Move forward. So speaking of moving forward, where should people reach out to you or maybe follow your Instagram handles or social media handles? Let the people know.
Yeah, for sure. Shameless plugs, Tom, right? So follow me on IG. It's at JP_flight. Definitely follow the Creators Asylum page at Creators Asylum. Like we said, we house a lot of different creative content, definitely giving people a platform. If you're creative, DM myself, DM my boy Damien. His tag is on the Creators Asylum page, or just DM the page directly. And we'll definitely get you showcased. And like I said, we're all in this together. So seize the space, lead the narrative.
Awesome.
There you go.
Definitely our audience should definitely follow, engage. For us, for Derrick and myself at the Risk Reward Show, follow, share, comment, like on YouTube, and now also you see some episodes on Spotify. Reach out to us on Instagram and Twitter as well. Before we wrap up, Derrick, do you have any closing words?
Thank you, Omar. I really, really appreciate you. I feel like whenever we, when I was on your show, two weeks ago, it felt as if it was just us talking, just like normal. Sure. And I definitely got the same vibe here. So I just want to thank you again for just coming on and dropping those gems, bro.
Nah, for sure. I appreciate you having me, man. Thanks for returning that. Like I said, it's always like blood brothers, like you said, from day one. Yeah. Derrick, Cris, appreciate both of y'all. This is a great episode, man. A lot of gems dropped today. So I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Awesome.
So this wraps up episode 19. Looking forward to reaching 20 next week. And again, to our audience, thank you all for supporting, and we'll see you next time.
All right.